SWOT analysis is a situational framework that can help you understand what is the situation of your product, of your business, of your project. And how does it do this? It looks into 4 aspects, some internal, some external, to look and identify what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, what are the opportunities, and what are the threats for the project or business that you're running. In this video, let's take a look at what the SWOT analysis framework is, and also what are the benefits, what could be maybe the cons of this framework, and what could be the best use cases. So SWOT analysis identifies 2 criteria, which are internal, which are going to be the strengths and the weaknesses, and 2 criteria that are external, which are going to be the opportunities and the threats. So now we are going to go through each one of them so you can understand better what they mean and how you should consider them or how you should fulfill a template on this framework. So when you're talking about your strengths, you have to answer things like, what is going well? What is giving us an edge? Where are we excelling compared to others? It can be compared to a competitor. It can be just on our own. What are our strengths to fulfill or to drive this project? And some examples of strengths could be capabilities, your brand reputation, customer loyalty, the technology that you're using, the capabilities of your product. When you're looking at the weaknesses, you are looking at where you are falling short, where you probably don't have enough knowledge or enough skill set to really be able to fulfill the needs of the project or the product, whatever it is that you are analyzing. So some examples of these could be gaps in skills. So you don't have potentially, let's say that you want to build an AI, whatever, bot, and you don't have people that are experts in AI. That would be your gap. It could be gaps in processes. It might be that you have excellent people and excellent knowledge, but your processes are not really that good and they're not going to support what you need to do. It can be something about positioning. You might have the right product, but you're selling it to the wrong people. That unfortunately happens very often. And it might be a resourcing problem. You might want to do something, but you don't have enough money to invest, or you don't have enough people to really drive it forward. Now let's look into the external factors. First, there's the opportunities, so the O. So when you're looking at opportunities, you are looking things like market trends or emerging needs that you could capitalize on that are going to help you grow, that are going to help your product, that are going to benefit it. So some examples of what are the opportunities could be unmet needs on your potential customers. It can be that there's a regulation change or an upcoming regulation change. In EU, it's very common to have these ones, and that's sometimes potentially an opportunity of making a difference, of being able to adopt said opportunity before the competitors, because you know that your customers are going to request for it sooner or later, especially when you're talking about B2B customers. It can be also adjacent segments. So many times, it might be that your segment, your competitors are working in a certain way, and everybody's kind of comfortable working in that way. But when you look at adjacent segments, they might be doing something like this different that you can take advantage of. Or it might be that you can move into an adjacent segment, that you have a product that already serves well a segment, but I could expand it to a new segment. So for example, you're talking about you have a product for architects, you potentially could have a product for engineers, maybe not that far away from what you have right now. That's obviously a simplification, but something that I have been working on in the past. And it's something that is kind of common to happen. So finally, then there's the threats. And when you're talking about threats, you are going to look into what are the external risks that could affect us as a product, as a business, as a project. So here there can be things like competitor moves, that they might be moving faster than where we are moving. There can be economic downturns. Those can hurt quite heavily some projects or some businesses. There can be new technologies. So for example, now you could say that AI was a threat like 1 year ago, 2 years ago, and probably even now for many companies, and it's seen as a threat even now. And it's something that it's that new technology that raises, and everybody has to catch up with it to be able to adopt it in one way or another. And if you don't adopt it, maybe you will fade away as a business. Is that the case with AI? Well, let's not go there. But this happens sometimes when it comes to new technology in, I don't know, mobile operators, that there's a new way of transmitting information. So you have to come and adopt that new technology. And then there can be shifts in customer expectations. Customer expectations can change. And sometimes they don't change because of your industry changes, but it changes because of the situation. Think about when mobiles came the first time. Many people started to expect many things to be in their mobile. In the beginning, it was just more like not so serious, but eventually there was many businesses that started to think that, okay, the customer expectation is that they have to be able to work with certain things in their mobile. So for example, emails, browsing, well, browsing was probably from the beginning, but even watching presentations and having calls or joining a Teams call from your mobile phone started to be something that it's an expectation from the customer that you have to be able to look at things of your work on the go. And as you can see, there's two aspects. The internal one, so strengths and weaknesses, this is depending on us or on you. This depends on your team, depends on your own situation. It's not just your team, but it can be your technology, it can be your operations. But these are internal strengths or weaknesses that you will have. Then there's the external ones. And here there's the opportunities and the threats. There's a new opportunity out there that we could go after, but there can be also a new threat that it might hurt us to grow, that might prevent us to move forward as a product business project. Now, as any framework, SWOT analysis is not going to be a perfect framework. It's going to have situations where it works pretty well, situations where it doesn't work that well, and those are the ones that we are going to talk about. What are those benefits? What are those potential downsides? And what are the best use cases to use this framework? So let's start with the benefits. The benefits first is that it's a simple and fast to execute analysis. So of course it depends on everything and it depends who does it, but initially it should not take relatively long time, and you can actually do it during a workshop, which can be a very good way of bringing ideas from many people in the same table with different type of knowledge or different points of view on the same problem. It encourages broad and structured reflection. This is a good thing of this framework, is that it helps you to take both the internal point of view and understand better where are we and where we could improve with the strengths and weaknesses, and also look at those external aspects that many times can be overlooked. Maybe we concentrate only on one of the opportunities or one of the threats, but bringing this whole more like holistic understanding of where we are right now. And this is why it's a situational framework. It brings together internal and external perspectives, which I think is really good. Many times companies are going to take only either to the internal or to the external, or sometimes to the positive, like the strengths and opportunities, or sometimes only to the negative, like the weaknesses and threats, because, well, we are human and we do that. And it helps identify focus areas and strategic tensions that you might have in the project or in the product that you are trying to build. And it's great for team alignment and prioritization, because you probably are putting a team of different disciplines, of different areas of their expertise that can help. This analysis can help them align and really work together and prioritize what work should be done. So what are the downsides? Because obviously no framework is perfect. So first of all, it can lead to oversimplified thinking. That happens pretty much with every framework. You can simplify it so much, and you can do it like in 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes. And then of course you simplify everything because you don't do much research, you don't bring different opinions if you do it alone especially. So if I go and do alone a SWOT analysis, probably it's going to be very biased by my point of view. So it's good to have different people with different areas of expertise. It has the risk of being too subjective or biased because, hey, I might not like how we are doing certain processes, and then I say that, well, that's a weakness in our company. But I might not be sometimes totally right, and there might be some reasons why there are those processes. So again, it can be subjective and it can be biased, but again, this is something that probably applies to every single framework out there. it doesn't directly suggest strategic moves. This is only analyzing. This is only pointing those strengths, those weaknesses, those opportunities, those threats. But it doesn't tell me how do I win, where do I win, with which customers. I honestly don't know. So it's only one step of a real process of building or planning even and creating a strategy or planning a product or project from the vision, the scope, the strategic goals to the actual execution and how we are going to measure the success. And many other things, by the way. There's just so much that you had to do. And obviously, SWOT analysis doesn't give you all in one go. It might become a checklist and an exercise basically if you don't follow it with action. So again, as any strategy, you can define the most perfect strategy, you can identify the best opportunity. If you don't have a real way to translate this strategy into an execution, then you are gonna fail. And that's probably, again, one of the biggest downsides of this one, that it might happen, you do it, you get very happy because you did it, but in the end you don't do anything with it. Then you just tick the box. I did the SWOT analysis, but I didn't do anything with it. So what would be the best use cases? When should you be looking at using SWOT analysis? So first of all, I would say that when you're evaluating a new idea, a product or initiative, this is a great moment to do it, because it helps you understand better how to position, how to move forward, understand better the market. If you don't do that market research, just go and start doing it. I'm not going to say that it's most likely going to fail, but well, your chances are not that great because you don't understand the market situation that well. I think that it's also great for like strategy sessions or quarterly reviews where you sit down and really analyze where we are at. What is our current situation? Can we find those new opportunities? This is our way to potentially identify those opportunities where we could be growing, where we could change our strategic goal. I'm not saying that you have to change your strategic goals every quarter, but you might have to review them every now and then. Maybe twice a year probably would be the way for me to do it, to sit down and really understand where we are at. Are our strategic goals still valid? And I'm not saying that strategic goals should last only 6 months. They tend to last longer, but it's good to always review them, sit down and understand where you are at and if they're still relevant. Another good use case of SWOT analysis is to compare yourself with your competitors, because you can actually do this as a side-to-side snapshots or slides, looking at your strengths, your competitor's strengths, your weaknesses, your competitor weaknesses, your opportunities, so on. You get my drift probably. This, of course, there's assumptions. There's always assumptions, even in what your internal SWOT analysis is, but there's even more assumptions when you do it with a competitor. But it's a great way to understand how you compare with them and where they could be winning and where we could be winning. That's something that can give you an edge and a differentiation compared to your competitors. Another one that it's very good moment to do this is not just when you are evaluating the idea, which I said earlier, but also in the early stages of product discovery and go-to-market planning, because you also can understand better how we are going to go to the market. What are our strategic areas to focus on and how we could tackle this, and what are those opportunities that we have. Understand it better, set the position, and then from there you can move forward. If you want to download a guide on how to use SWOT analysis, go check the description down below. It's free. SWOT analysis is a great framework if you really want to do a market research, or if you want to research the situation where you are at and understand better what are the opportunities, your strengths, your weaknesses, your threats for the projects, the business, the products that you are planning, that you are thinking about. I think it's a great exercise for you to do that situational research, understand where I am and how I could move forward. And does it make sense for me to even move forward, analyze those potential ideas? If you want to know about another framework that can help you at your work and that be more strategic, go check out this one up here. See you in the next one.